guys, I hope you're all well. Welcome back to my channel, and the reason I'm sitting here in front of you today with absolutely no makeup on is because I'm going to be showing you my everyday makeup routine. So the first thing I'm going to do is prime my skin, and at the moment I really like this Smashbox Photo Finish Primer Water because I have quite oily skin and it can be quite blemish prone. So I like something that's oil free, and this is oil free, silicone free and alcohol free, so it doesn't kind of give my skin any kind of bad reaction, and I just find it a nice kind of lightweight, easy primer to use. And all you have to do is I'll just close my eyes and just spritz it all over your face, and it's just like a really nice fine mist, and it dries really quickly, so you can pretty much just do that and just go. The next thing I would do is prime my eyes, and at the moment I'm using the Urban Decay Eyeshadow Primer Potion, which is a really great primer if you like wearing eyeshadows. It just kind of intensifies the colour and it just helps it stay on so much longer. And even though it's quite an expensive product, I find that I don't have to use a lot in order to get a good result. So I would literally just squeeze the tube just ever so slightly, and then it's literally just, I don't know if you're going to be able to see that because it's probably not going to focus, but it's just the tiniest amount, and then just dab it on the eyelids and just rub it in with your fingertips. You don't need kind of any tool to put this on with, and just make sure it's all nicely just rubbed in, and then that should just help keep everything just in place a lot longer, and it just kind of, like I say, just kind of intensifies the colour, so it just really makes it pop. And then after I've primed my eyes and my face, I would then usually do my eyeshadow first, because I just like to kind of get my eyes out of the way before I start doing my base, because I often find that I touch my skin when I'm doing my eyes, and if I've just done my base then I don't want to be kind of pushing foundation around, so I just tend to do my eyes first. So the first shade I'm going to use, and this is probably one of my favourite shades, is MAC Quarry, and it's a matte kind of like a purpley taupey colour, and this looks really nice just on its own or with the eyeshadow that I'm going to put it on with, and I'm using a MAC 213 just to apply that, and all I'm going to do is just gently just dust it all over the top of the lid. Just taking a little bit and just blowing. And then I just like to intensify and just go in a second time, just so that you get a nice shade. So that's kind of like the first kind of base colour that I like, and like it's just kind of like a nice taupey colour, and I could probably wear this shade on its own just because it's just so natural looking. It's not too in your face, it's just a nice kind of subtle colour, but I actually like to then go in with the L'Oreal Nude, and this is kind of like a very similar shade in that it's kind of like a mauvey taupey colour, but this has just got like a real nice pearlescent sheen to it. But unfortunately, and I don't know if anyone else has experienced this, but it's completely shattered, and it's such a shame because it's a really beautiful kind of just like a really lovely pigment, but unfortunately it has shattered, so I have to be really careful, and that therefore means I can't really take it in my handbag or anything like that, so I have to keep it at home. But it's called Nude and it's 201. So I'm just going to put that on really carefully now, and I'm actually going to use a Real Techniques, I think it's the base shadow brush, which is just like a nice fluffy brush, and then I'll probably just mix it all in with the Real Techniques Deluxe Crease brush. So here we go. I'm just going to build it as I go, and I'm just going to lightly sweep that over the lid, and you don't tend to get an awful lot of fallout from this product, which is really good because there's nothing more annoying than having to then go over or under your eyes with like a makeup wipe. That's so annoying. So hopefully you guys can see now that it's just kind of just made it more of like a metallic-y, taupey kind of shade. But I really like this. I just think it's such a nice, simple, everyday kind of look. And then I'm just going to try and intensify a little bit more by just going through with the crease brush. So I've done my eyeshadow and now I'm going to start on my base, and for foundation I'm going to be using my favourite, which is the NARS Sheer Glow, and to apply I am going to be using the Real Techniques buffing brush as well as a beauty blender. So first of all I'm just going to take one pump of foundation just on the back of my hand, and one pump is more than enough for my little face. And also because I have a fringe I don't tend to put any foundation on my forehead, so it's just for my cheeks and my chin, and I've just got my fringe up just so it's a little bit easier to show you guys. But I would just put a little bit on the brush and then just start working it into the skin. And this is probably my most favourite foundation I've ever tried, and I do use it every day even though it's a really expensive product. I just really like the results, and I don't have clear skin. If I had clear skin then I'd be able to use a nice light foundation, but unfortunately I do have quite acne prone skin. I have good days and I have bad days, but this is just a foundation that kind of just evens out my complexion and manages to cover up any blemishes, and then I can just go in with a concealer so it just kind of evens everything out. But I really like this foundation. And like I say, I know it's expensive to be using every day, and probably a lot of people just save this for their kind of special occasions, but in my opinion if something's really good then why not wear it every day. So all I would do is I would just keep kind of dabbing my brush on what I've put on the back of my hand, and then just keep kind of adding it on both sides, going up the nose and just buffing it in. And then after I feel like I've blended it all, I then would just go around my face and just kind of dab my sponge on, and then I would take a second pump of foundation, which I couldn't find there, and just the tiniest, not even a whole pump, just a little tiny dribble, because I still have quite a lot left on the back of my hand, but just enough to just kind of go over my cheeks especially, and my chin and my nose, just so that it kind of just evens it all out nicely. By the way, if you haven't tried the beauty blender then I would definitely recommend giving these a go. It just gives your foundation just such a nicer look about it. It just makes it look like it's gone on professionally. It just blends it in really nicely to the skin. I used to use the Real Techniques one, but this is so much better, and you have to make sure you run it under the tap and make sure it's all nice and blown up and squidgy, because it just doesn't give the same effect if it's dry. But it's just such a great tool. If you haven't already invested in one of these, then definitely, I know they're £16, something like that, but they are worth every penny. So I feel like that's my foundation done. I'm probably now going to just move on to mascara, just to go back and just let that settle in, and then I'll go over with concealer and whatever else I'm going to put on. So my favourite mascara at the moment is the Maybelline Lash Sensational Mascara, and it just looks like this. And this mascara is really great. I think actually it's probably one of the best that I've ever tried. It's definitely up there with my Benefit They're Real. I really love that one. And another one of my favourites is the L'Oreal Volume Million Lashes, I think that's what it's called. They're kind of like gold packages, but they are really good mascaras. But this, I've never tried a Maybelline mascara actually before, but this has really great results. It just leaves my lashes looking really kind of fanned out, really nice and long, and just kind of like really separates them all really nicely, and I really like that. So I'm going to show you guys how it looks, and I really like the wand of this because it's plastic, which I really like. I know a lot of people probably wouldn't agree, but this is my favourite kind of wand. And then it's kind of like, I don't know if you can see, but it's like curled to kind of like the shape of your eye. So what I would do is I'd take the curly side in first and then just sweep it really gently over the lashes. And you really don't need an awful lot of product, but hopefully you can see that already, like really building up. And I just think they look like false lashes after I've applied it. The wand really manages to grab onto every single lash. And then I would just take like the curved side, so like the opposite side, and just kind of go over, just to make sure I've got all my lashes nicely separated, no clumps. Yeah, so hopefully you guys can see the difference between this eye and this eye, and I just think my lashes just look so nice and long, and like almost like I'm wearing falsies, which I really like. So that's kind of like my finished eye look, and hopefully you guys agree that these lashes look really, really nice. And then I'm just going to move on to kind of concealing everything under my eyes and everything else. So now my eyeshadow and my base is done, I'm now going to go and conceal any blemishes and my dark circles. And for my under eyes, I like to use the NARS Creamy Concealer, and I have this in the shade Vanilla, which kind of matches my NARS Sheer Glow foundation. And then for blemishes, I am going to use Blogger's Favourite, the collection Perfection Lasting whatever it is, you know what this one is. Unfortunately all my writing's worn off, so I don't even know what it is. But I am going to go in my under eyes first, and I just like to draw kind of like a V under my eye, just like that. And you don't need to use a lot, because, well, you don't, it's really nice and creamy. And then after I've just drawn my V's, I will then take the, I cannot remember for the life of me what this is, Eco Tools, I think it's an actual concealer brush actually. It's just like a little fluffy brush, and I will just blend in just using this brush. And then also, just to get right underneath the lashes, I'll go in with my ring finger. This doesn't need a lot of blending in because it's a really nice creamy consistency, and this will literally last all day. So now my under eyes are concealed, I'm just going to go over any blemishes with the Collection Perfection Concealer, and you get quite a lot of product on the end of this, so I just like to usually wipe it off, and all I would just do is literally just dab on the places where I feel like I need it. Some days are worse than others. Usually I go over the end of my nose because I tend to get quite oily. So after I've just blended that in with my finger, I will then just kind of dab over with my beauty blender just to make sure everything's kind of like looking all nice and smooth. So now I've done my base and I've concealed everything. It's kind of like trying to add a little bit of colour in because I'm looking a little bit washed out, and I'm going to use the Bourjois highlighter and bronzing powder. And this is quite a popular product as well, and I'm just going to take this on my Real Techniques, I think this is the powder brush, yeah, powder brush, and all I'm going to do is I'm just going to swish it round, so I just kind of get like a nice bit of colour on there, and then I'm just going to kind of take it round. And then after that I'm going to go in with a blush, and I'm going to take my Hourglass palette, which is one of my favourite blush palettes, and I'm going to take this one here, which is the middle one, and this one's my favourite, and it's Incandescent Electra. I really love this one. I think it just goes really nicely on the skin. So I'm just going to dab that on there, and it's so highly pigmented, you really don't need a lot. So I'm just going to give this a little blow and just tap off any excess. And this just gives like a really beautiful sheen, as well as just like a nice pop of colour. And there we have it. Hopefully you guys can now see. Oh, little Molly. Come here, Bobby. We'll finish this off together, shall we? So now that everything's done, it's just to add the final pop of colour, and that's going to be a lip colour, and I never can really pick between the two of them, but two of my favourite lipsticks to wear with this look is either Max Mer or MAC Brave. And MAC Brave, they're very similar, but MAC Brave is more of like a pinky nude, and that's what that looks like here, this one. But MAC Mere is more of like a brownie nude. So I think today I'm going to go with MAC Brave because it's kind of like quite a purpley look. So I'm just going to slather that on. And this has got a satin finish, which is like my favourite finish of every MAC lipstick because I just find they stay on really well, they don't dry on the lips too much. And this is one of my favourite colours, I think, actually, from MAC. It's just like a really nice everyday nude and it just really complements this look very well, I think. So there you have it, guys. That's my finished everyday look. I hope you've enjoyed this video and I will see you guys